Hi guys, it's Friendly Cosmonaut.
And Scary Moonchild, and we'd like to do our first devlog for our game that we are currently calling Project Magenta.
Because we can't 100% settle on a title yet.
So today we just wanted to show off where we're at currently, to explain some of the choices that we've made, and get some input from you guys.
So just to give you a quick rundown on what the game is about. So we've showed a few pictures before and Scary Moonchild just did a write-up about the art. But I want to actually show off a few of the scenes and the areas right now and some of the mechanics. So Project Magenta.
It's about identity and mental health. Essentially, our protagonist sprite loses themselves, they split.
They lose all of their colour and are left as a black and white sprite, and the whole game follows them as they try to find their identity again and find the colour, to get the colour back in their life.
And meanwhile, facing a lot of mental battles, as well as there will be a subplot which is a scientific conspiracy, which really delves into the issues with scientific research. So Cosmo and I both have science degrees. Cosmo has worked in a lab before, and we have experienced a lot of anguish and annoyance and frustration at a lot of the ways that research is structured and carried out. It has a lot of responsibility to the community to be transparent and objective, and it often fails to meet those very standard requirements, in our opinion. So our game will be exploring those themes as well. So let's get started.
Alright. So our game starts off in a forest, and you're not really given any backstory about Sprite, our protagonist, who's right here. And a lot of you probably recognize the word sprite as a descriptor for an image in game development. And a sprite is kind of like a blank slate. And this is exactly why we've called our protagonist this, because sprite is supposed to be a kind of blank slate who has lost all of their memories, doesn't really have a personality. Their identity has been lost or is about to be lost.
Yes, we intended them to be completely genderless and to have no backstory, as Cosmo said, because we think it's really important for our game that the player is able to insert themselves into the game as the protagonist and to really challenge themselves to experience all the battles that Sprite faces as they would themselves.
Right. So this is just showing the dialogue, and this is one of the things that I have made over, I don't even know, hundreds of times it feels like. And we are still arguing about how to do this exactly, because I like the kind of sleek, simplistic look that you're seeing right here with this kind of slightly transparent back and just a nice line, and it's just black and white. And we've played around with colors and having little animations on the text, but I just find it a bit distracting.
So yeah, I basically created a few images that would fade in and out where the text box was. Arguably that's distracting, but you know, it was just something a little bit different. I think this looks good. We're trying to work out if this is too big or if the font's too big, anything like that. How many lines of text to be able to be included, that kind of thing. I think we want it to be like the same size, as in to not get bigger and smaller, so it would always be that size. So, you know, it might be a bit big.
Yep, so, and another thing that I'm not too sure how to show is when there's an actual opportunity to open up a dialogue. So at the moment I have this little speech bubble, but I'm not sure if that is obvious enough to people. We didn't want to include really any English or
recognizable symbols, really.
Yeah.
I've created like a fake language, which is just squiggles and things you'll see in another scene coming up. We don't want any English actually in the game. So aside from literally the dialogue box, there won't be any English. So I don't want to put a question mark or anything like that for the little pop-up thing that we've got.
So anyway, in the scene, you can kind of see you could just keep running this way. You can't actually move backwards, so you have to keep going. And these plants are all kind of expressing concern towards you. And the thing is, this isn't necessarily supposed to be taken as an actual location, or that these plants are really plants, or that Sprite's actually looking like this and is flashing with color.
Yeah. This is all supposed to be a question of perception and how somebody sees the world, and this is just Sprite's experience, which, you know, can be taken as abstractly as you like. So, you know, they are changing colours very rapidly. This is meant to sort of
represent some inner turmoil.
Exactly. Changing
And-
unstable mental states and that sort of thing.
So finally we've come to the end here, and the final plant, it gives you a warning that Sprite is about to lose themselves. And of course you have to just keep going, you can't go backwards. And we haven't coded these cutscenes yet, but in here Sprite is now going to find some doubts. And doubts are kind of like our enemies in the game. So we don't have traditional combat, but we will have a kind of turn-based combat that is reminiscent of other turn-based games. But again, it's a lot of it is just steeped in metaphor and mental health.
It's not supposed to be classically violent. We didn't want to have that sort of stance on mental health issues. We didn't want it to be seen as a violent battle. I think I feel quite strongly about not thinking of
Your own doubts and anxieties as
the enemy,
yeah.
or as something that you need to be violent against necessarily, or angry with, or like even to like try to get rid of completely. I think that's not always the best approach. I think it is
part of just human experience.
exactly. So we really want to present that as a sort of battle that in the end
Is more of a dialogue kind of.
Yes.
You're addressing the doubts. You're not
experiencing them, you're listening, and then you accept them and you move on.
All right. After this, you collapse to the ground, and a character called Marina finds you, and she picks you up and tries to take you to a safe location. But at the moment, you're in the middle of nowhere, and the closest place she knows is a place called Scholar's Sanctum. So she brings you up a mountain and into a cave, and that next scene is something that I just want to show with you because we have essentially finished that cutscene. So I just want to show you what it's kind of going to look like, and also what some of the lighting looks like.
So this is Marina speaking right now, not just a question mark. Again, that's part of something that we are still coding.
Basically, I want you to not know who is talking before they introduce themselves, and because I've kind of skipped over the bit where she introduces herself, she's still a question mark. But this is Marina. So we'll come in. And of course, there's going to be some player choices, and another important thing is that at the start, whenever she's asking you things,
or whenever Sprite is asked any kind of question,
you basically can only give simple responses or say that I don't know is going to be something that you say a lot. And that's kind of because I feel like with a lot of people who struggle with mental health, motivation and anxiety can be very...
an indecision.
Yeah, it can be debilitating, and you're unable to make a choice, and you don't know what you want, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to get help.
Yep.
So that's kind of supposed to be representing that. And then
as you go on, Sprite sort of becomes better at making decisions and making choices, and so literally the dialogue choices are part of that. It won't like very it won't affect the game at all, really, the dialogue decisions that you make. It is just more important and symbolic that the choice is there.
there will be a few important choices, of course, though. It is supposed to be a story-driven game. So, yep, that's some of the lighting that's being shown.
I just want to quickly say I haven't finished the sprites, so I am annoyed looking at Marina right now.
Alright, so let's get onto this platform. And we can go.
So something I wanted to discuss is just the movement here. I tend to get motion sick even just in game, like watching game screens. I find this a little disconcerting. We're trying to work out the speed. We'd love some input on whether having this dialogue running and the movement makes you feel sick at all, or it's kind of gross to look at. I don't know if it's not, if that's a kind of rare thing for people, but that's what I experience anyway.
Right, and it doesn't really bother me.
So yeah.
But obviously I want to make this accessible and to not make people sick. So
yes.
yeah, we would like to playtest that. Okay, and here again, she's asking you something. And she asks you what your favorite color is. And again, you can only really say that you don't remember what your favorite color is because you have no memory of who you are. So you don't know. And then she says that you don't have to remember, you can just make a choice. And she's kind of encouraging you to not base the choice on anything. If you feel anxiety about the choice, if you feel indecision, just choose something at random.
Usually, not usually, but often, I'll say, a lot of indecision and anxiety is because you are focusing on the future and you're anxious over the future and what will happen then. And another issue is, thinking of the past and lamenting over the past. So here, Marina is really encouraging you to stay present, to not worry that you can't remember your past, not worry about the future and whether your favorite color will be the same then, to really just, in this moment, to choose something.
Yep, and one of the choices is just that you can't decide, just that you like all of them.
Which is supposed to be a completely valid choice that we have. We don't want to say that you have to absolutely make a choice like that.
Mm-hmm. And this choice is going to be one of the ones that influences something a little bit cosmetic about Sprite. So at the moment, of course, Sprite is black and white, and the point of the game is kind of trying to get back Sprite's identity, but you'll find that your choices will start to color Sprite. So for example, this choice, if you pick this one, this would actually be representative of the color white because it's kind of all of the colors together. This one would be black, and obviously all of the other ones are just colors. So then if we pick one, this will color a part of Sprite. And we're hoping to kind of include a bunch of choices like this. Alright. So once that conversation is over, we get to the actual facility. Let's walk over. And we'll probably have a little elevator scene here, but you go up into the facility and the first kind of stop is the bar. And there'll be a cutscene here where you meet the owner kind of the entire facility, who runs it and runs the bar and runs the food and does all the management. This character right here, who is Anujda.
And here you can see some of the language I was talking about, which is completely made up. You can see that's no English. Tell me what you think, if it looks like a legit language or not.
Yep, and this is kind of one of the first things that we were happy with. You probably saw some of the earlier screenshots.
Yeah, so we really moved on from an isometric game to one that's completely side-scrolling, which I really like, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also the assets are all shaded now, and the lines are a bit more thick.
This area, and there's going to be a few different areas in the game, 5 at the moment, kind of main areas, exploring different
kinds of battles that you might encounter, different sorts of emotions that overcome you.
And in each section there's going to be a central, an important moment where a character or an object gives you a seed of doubt. They make you question something about the world, something about yourself, something that you need to do. And throughout that level, the doubt will grow and the seed will sprout, and you need to face it. And that will be kind of the boss that closes off the section. So when we do release the demo for the game, that will probably include just that first section here in Scholar's Sanctum. And some of the things that you'll be doing here are just cooking, cleaning, helping the researchers out.
Yep, so this section is very much centered on restoring your physical health. So right now Sprite's tired and malnourished possibly, and really has a lack of connection to others and that kind of thing. So we'll be taking care of basically really basic needs that you really do need to make sure that you restore before you can work effectively on
anything else. So as an example for something that I've been working on recently, we have this creature here, and we're just seeing kind of their back, called an ogre, and I apologize for the brush that's just taken from a Google image as a placeholder, but as one of the activities that you can do as a kind of meditation activity, you can kind of just brush the ogre. And the ogre is basically just a made-up creature,
yes,
which is kind of a...
sort of a cross between an antelope or a deer or buffalo possibly, that kind of thing. The idea here is that you sort of unlock this section, so after you've done this, we want players to be able to just return to this whenever they want. Because I find this very relaxing and it makes my brain feel nice. It's a very satisfying thing to just sit here and do. I'm not sure if you can all see, but it's actually sort of breathing, so it's kind of moving up and down a little bit. Hopefully this looks like it's breathing. And yeah, some like animal noises will play. And
yeah, a lot of this is placeholder, by the way. I think we've made two or three of the songs that probably have been playing as the game has gone, but there are also just a couple random placeholder songs. And all of these will probably change. I don't think we're really going to hang on to anything at the moment. Even the voices, I think we wanted to do more of a mixing actual voices into weird noises. So that's going to go too, probably. So that's pretty much it. Going forwards,
basically I'll just be upgrading the assets more. We really would love to get a demo out by the end of the year.
Oh, so... I highly doubt it will be done by the end of the year.
Oh no, Cosmo does not have faith in us. But that would be wonderful.
Okay, it's taken us 1.5 years to get to this point.
Yes, but we are a lot... We've gotten some momentum now, and we're a lot...
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of just been messing around for that entire time.
Honestly, like that first year was not productive.
Yeah, I don't think we've kept any of it. I think I've redone it like 5 times.
None of the assets. Oh my god.
Yeah. All the code, yeah.
Well, no one cares about the code.
No. Alright. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully we can do some more of these devlogs in the future, showing off maybe some more technical stuff, like the mechanics, if anyone is interested. I can talk a little bit about how I've done things, like some of the lighting, as just kind of a more laid back thing to actually doing videos that I have to edit that takes days, honestly. So these are nice to do.
And yeah, I hope you're all well and try to do something nice. Go pat something like an herba. It is very relaxing. I would recommend.